we recommend the following. Number one, implementation of the Declaration requires both political and technical cooperation between Indigenous peoples and states. Indigenous peoples and states should be encouraged to work together to co-develop national action plans, including legislative, administrative, and other frameworks for the full and effective implementation of the Declaration. Number two, the Permanent Forum should call on states to work in partnership with Indigenous peoples in decision-making process that impact our rights. The applicable international standard is free, prior, and informed consent, and states should not proceed with unilateral actions. Number three, consistent with Article 19 of the Declaration and Paragraph 3 of the outcome document of the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples, we call on Canada and other states to work with Indigenous peoples to build a solid framework to ensure future governments do not reverse any constructive advances, including legislative, administrative, and constitutional measures. Such measures should also include the co-development of Indigenous languages legislation. Implementation of the Declaration remains challenging. In the World Conference outcome document, states strongly recommitted themselves by consensus to the Declaration and to developing and implementing national action plans in partnership with Indigenous peoples. But how many states today can report that such plans have been developed? Canada's national government has made repeated, high-profile commitments to implementation. Substantive actions to fulfill this promise have yet to be meaningfully realized. Concrete action is required. We applaud the statement yesterday from Canada, formally withdrawing their objections with regard to free, prior, and informed consent. Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission called on the federal and other governments to adopt the Declaration as a framework for reconciliation. The TRC made 94 calls to action to address its major finding of truth, the truth that Canada's laws, policies, and actions towards Indigenous peoples amounted to cultural genocide. I call it genocide. Canada's Prime Minister recently established a working group of ministers to review federal laws, policies, and operational practices to ensure consistency with the Declaration.